Good morning, everyone. We've just come back from an amazing experience in Maui. I'm running a number of years of retreats which are entitled Enchanted Lands, and much of the explanation about what they are in that title. They're sort of potentials of exploring a deeper sense of who you are. You know, I really believe that one person can be the change that everybody is demanding and needing and wanting and yearning. And to do any of that, to change this world into the heaven that everybody wants, whatever their own individual experience or idea of heaven on earth is, takes a decision by the one, for the one, with the one, and that's you. So for me, that call comes very much from listening to my inner guidance, listening to Mother Earth, listening to nature, listening to the guides that have been with me always, listening to the higher consciousness of other people, and connecting in with the higher minds to navigate this world generally and individually, moment by moment. So the Enchanted Lands is a set of wonderful retreats where we can just go and explore that inner landscape, the inner enchantment that you are. And it's brilliant to go to different places at different times so that you can become the person that you're yearning for. We know from all of the main scriptures and books of wisdom around the world that they all say some similar things. They all believe in angels and name them. They all believe that the answer lies within you. They all believe in love, and they all believe in a higher consciousness. And when you put all of those things together, you get enchantment. And these retreats are an invitation from me to you to, if you hear this soul call, to answer it, to come and have a play, come and have an investigation into what these different landscapes that are sort of usually different from the norm, bring it out in you. And what we're finding is it's very much an enrichment program. We're finding that people are giving themselves space enough to inquire with those deeper questions. And this year is all about freedom and depth. So to be able to be free enough in situations to go into the depth of those really big questions and to allow those answers in a loving, caring, compassionate, sacred listening environment for the answers to come up, whatever they are, and for us to really have a look at them and have some fun, changing them in some way, shape or form by your own choice as to what it is you would prefer it to be. So the outcome of a lot of these retreats seems to be that people feel more love, they feel more belonging, they feel more empowered. People report back to me that they just feel healthier, they feel more connected, they feel more sure of their pathway. They're just generally a little bit more happier in life, which can't be a bad thing. So yeah, I thought it would be amazing if we started to just offer you a bit of an insight and share it, because for me, part of my soul pathway is to actually bring in more unity. Rather than duality phase, we're very much into the higher dimensional options and opportunities of life. And to me, I know there's lots of different ways of explaining it, but the third dimension to me offers the insights of what generally people know as the earth plane. It's your yin and yang, your love and your hate. And the fourth is all about compassion. So if there's anybody out there present or past that you think, oh, they're very compassionate, that's more of the fourth dimension coming through. It's opening our hearts and our minds to ways of compassion in leadership, and leadership of one's own life is the most important. That's how we affect everything else. And beyond that is the fifth dimension, which is very much an area that I'm looking to introduce and to ease the way of people accessing, because I feel the veils have dropped. So I really feel as though we have plenty of opportunity to access these intuitive abilities that we've been born with. And I've spent my life actually enabling people through that and helping them find their own way with their own abilities, which is a lot of fun and a real win-win situation. And the fifth dimension is about, it is about mind melding. It is about contacting and being at home with yourself so much that you're really, really, really happy to be seen, warts and all. And yeah, it's just about being okay about who you are, so that you're okay being seen fully how you are, rather than any mask that people put up. And keeping it real, but also investigating what other potentiality you have within you that can benefit your life. And by you looking after you and your sphere of influence on the energetic level, about looking after your aura, looking after your thoughts, helping your heart feel the love more, it's then going to easily lead into easier communication with other beings, humans included. Anyway, enough of that waffle for now. We're going to take you on a journey of what this retreat has been in answering the call. I'm working with the Seraphim Seraphina over this Enchanted Lands program of events. And she asked us to go. We heard the call of the Humpback Whales, and they said, come and listen to our song and sing it back to us. So we did. We've been to Maui, and I've taken some photographs, and some other lovely people along the way have offered their photographs too, so I'm deeply thankful for that. And we thought we'd take you on that journey with us, because I know sometimes people feel the call to come on these things, and other things in life are prioritised. So this is my way of offering that journey to you, so that you can get a glimpse into some of the things that we do. Okay, so just to say that we from the UK, the attendees from the UK, it took us 3 planes and a good 24 hours to actually get here. And this is a picture of the villas. We took 2 villas, a 3-bedroom one and a 4-bedroom one, in Lahaina. Lahaina is historically the old royal palace and the place of the main sort of place for Hawaii. Again, my instincts took us there. Obviously, I didn't go and have a scout round first, but you just get a feel as to what these sort of places are like. And I did a lot of work before we got there on the land, giving lots of blessings, checking out the ley lines, and basically putting as much positive energy into the area before we arrived. We're right on the ocean front, as you can see there. This is the Pacific Ocean, and that's the 4-bedroom villa that you can see there. It came with a pool and a jacuzzi, which got used quite a lot. And what was magnificent was the views from the villas gave us a really wonderful open aspect across the Pacific Ocean over to a neighbouring island. When we leant over our front wall and turned our heads right, we saw this local beach, which is called Baby Beach. It was a 5-minute walk for us to access. And you can see there where the water is breaking, that's a natural coral reef. So we had very shallow water for people to play in before it went to the deep ocean. On waking that first morning, literally waking up after that journey, and we stepped out, and here Natalie's actually pointing to the fact that she can see whales breaching from the balcony. So they were rolling over, doing the pectoral fin slapping and breaching in the distance. It would have been handy to have some binoculars actually to see some of the detail, because they were quite far away. But we could actually see them, and this is an indication of, I think it's like a high five from the Humpback Whales saying, hi, you're here, welcome. Oh, and the other amazing thing, right, we're having our morning coffees or teas or whatever people are doing, we look over the wall and there are Hawaiian green turtles actually feeding off the crabs and various things that were along the wall. The wall actually, if you can see there, is actually made of lava rock. And you might be able to make out the turtle swimming just ahead of these four lovely ladies, two of which I dragged out of bed. Well, I didn't. I just encouraged a call to say, come and see these, because I was just so excited. So that's a photograph of a lovely turtle coming up for a breath. Isn't that amazing? Just over the sea wall. And you can actually see how clear the water was. So on that first morning after those lovely, the exposure just of the whales and turtles and settling in with each other, we had a glorious gathering. I know historically they're called workshops, but to me they're just gatherings of souls coming together to start to outline some of the things that we're there for. We're always there to focus on the love, and we're always there to receive any ancestral knowledge that we need that might have been in any of our lives past, that we can amalgamate and align with in order to proceed in this life in a healthier and more dynamic way. And the history of Maui is one of the places that the ancient civilization of Lemuria and Mu exists. And these were civilizations that were pre-Atlantis and were based on love. And I'm going to do another YouTube channel event soon on my idea of that and what we picked up about that. So I thought it'd be really good fun after we'd sort of all come in and we'd centered ourselves and we got into our loving zone, to take everybody to the old Lahaina Lihua. And forgive me if I'm saying some of the Hawaiian names incorrectly. It's a great language and I'm just learning about it. But basically, this is a picture of the entrance to the old Lahaina Lihua, and it was such a fabulous evening. It was a way of sort of just getting us into the history of Hawaii. So we were greeted by music being played, and then we received these lovely purple and white orchids in the flower lays. And many of us actually, once we got seated around our tables and we were shown where to go, there were lots of cultural displays going on before the meal, and this was one of them. This young man was offering some coconut to everybody. And he was showing how to do that. And this is Jill joining in one of the hula dances with reeds. And this is some of the gang together in the beautiful early sunset, just saying hi. Don't they look beautiful? And this is Nick, my gorgeous husband. He's actually having a look at one of the canoes and how they used to dig them out and how they made them. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. And this is just one example of a beautiful sunset on the calm waters. So this is the western side of Maui, so it's protected from the trade winds. So it's very, very beautiful. This gives you some idea of the show that was put on after the meal. The meal included lots of traditional food and stories behind the food and what it means to the Hawaiian people. And so the Hula Show, hula comes from a very sacred practice of being thankful and grateful for everything that the earth gives us. And the story was over all of the ages up to modern day, and I do recommend you go and see something if ever you have the opportunity, because it's just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You can see here you have an option of sitting on cushions with low tables right next to the circle, or then you have the option of tables and chairs, which we took around there. Okay, so we've moved on to something else now, so I'll just take a pause. So after that experience, we all felt like we just touched base with the original people of the island. The following morning, we had a wonderful circle where we came together and we had a meditation, and we started to process some of the feelings that we have there. And we decided to have a little stroll into Lahaina, which is a main port. A lot of the boat trips to go and see the whales, and there's a submarine that you can take there. There's a glass bottom boat. There's all sorts of different options for you to actually access just being and seeing the whales. What I love about it there is they have a big respect about the whales, and they make sure they stay 100 yards at least, or longer, further away from any whales. And there's a certain amount of time that the boats can actually stay with a particular pod of whales, so that they don't disturb them too much if they're trying to feed the young, or any of the other activities that we witnessed. So I liked that. I thought that was nice. So we went to see the banyan tree. Now, I had never seen a banyan tree in living reality, only on pictures. And they always look mystical and magic to me because they have aerial roots. And the aerial roots sort of come out and then they form other roots which actually look like trees. And this one is fast becoming the largest out of the Hawaiian Islands, and it covers at the moment almost 2 acres. One tree covering 2 acres. And there's 16 other roots, so 16 trees. There were 16 of us on our retreat. So we all had fun just going into the centre of the banyan tree and just starting to use our intuitive senses to see what it felt like to us. I mean, feelings are very real. Intuitive ability is extremely real. Everybody is using it all of the time. It's the sixth sense. You're using it all of the time. Every time you go into a restaurant and you just feel this side of the room might be better than this side of the room. Every time you go to a party and you think, wow, those people feel really yummy to go and meet, and you look over the room and you might think, oh, I'm not so comfortable over there. You're using your intuitive sense. You're using your sixth sense. So you can use this. You can do this wherever you go. Any building that you go into, any person that you meet, any tree that you come across, any living organism can actually give off a biofeedback resonance that you are already tapping into. You can limit it to your 5 senses, and that's fine too if that's your choice. But the sixth sense just gives you a more full experience, and it's a way of checking in on those vibes that you have, and a way of accessing higher vibes if you want it. So this is the banyan tree. Isn't it amazing? Can you see all the aerial roots hanging down? Just absolutely phenomenal. Lots and lots of people. You can see all the benches under there. So it's a congregation courtyard really of many people that come. Lots of birds, lots of insect life. And in the evening, Julie, who was with us, actually recorded all of the minor birds, which are part of the starling family, arriving at dusk very loudly. I'll see if she's okay as reproducing that at some stage. And it was just magnificent, just coming in to roost. I like looking at the meanings of things, you know, when you first come across animal signs that might swoop across you in an unusual way, like when we were up travelling up the mountain to go to the summit of Haleakala volcano. A bird flew right in front of the cars, and it happened to be an owl during the daylight. So that was quite nice to look up what sort of meanings that the animal kingdom actually produce. But back to this wonderful second day. And we have some lovely connections, beautiful connections with this banyan tree. It's held as a very sacred tree in India, and is part of the fig family. So Buddhists actually believe as well that that Buddha actually reached his enlightenment by meditating within the fig tree resonance. And I have to say, personally, to me, I'm very interested in what I call gateways or windows to other realities as well as our own that to me feel like they were all running parallel, and it was quite an experience for me, in the sense that we just felt really like I was suddenly, my crown chakra and stellar gateway causal, everything just opened up very easily and completely. And yet I still felt here, I could still feel my feet, still feel I was very grounded, very much on the beautiful earth plane, but it very much opened everything very easily into accessing the higher knowledge that many of us benefit from. So for me, I will be back. I'll be going back to Maui in 2 years, and inviting other people to come with me. If anybody's interested, let me know, because we will be spending a bit more time around the Banyan Tree. It was absolutely phenomenal. So this just gives you an example of the way the aerial roots go out and ground, and they look like new trees. Ah, this is brilliant. Okay, so after we'd had that beautiful, beautiful Banyan experience, we went out kayaking on the Pacific Ocean. Now this is Joe Baby Noonan. He runs a company called, he's just changed it, Ecstatic Earth, that's it. Sorry about that, Joe. Was Dolphin Whisperer, and now it's Ecstatic Earth. And he takes groups out around the world to introduce them to the magic that Earth is, really. So we buddied up with Joe, and he took us out on these kayaks because he's got quite a lot of experience on whales and dolphins and earth energies. So for many of us, it was hilarious because I had never kayaked on a sea or ocean before, and many of us hadn't either. So first of all, we had to be able to get in and out of the kayaks and actually learn how to use it together because we were in tandem. So it was hilarious. We just had such good fun. So we eventually got out into deeper water, can you have a look at that? We did this for a couple of days. We had 2 glorious afternoons. The first afternoon was very much, how do we paddle and do all of this stuff? And we managed to go out deep enough to start seeing some of the whales at a closer proximity. And we actually got out of the kayaks into the water to put our snorkel gear on, have a swim, dive down a little bit, and to hear the whale song. I mean, such a huge emotional healing shift for many of us, because to hear the whale song for yourself in the ocean they're swimming in, it's just one of those experiences that's up there. So so thank you for that. That was absolutely brilliant. So we had a real good laugh, me trying to get back into the kayak, because I'd never done that before. And I'm not a Slim Jim. So it was a great opportunity for unity, because it took a couple of kayaks to come together just steady enough for me to haul myself out of the water. And that was hilarious. So we've had a lot of fun along the way too. So if I can do that, anyone can do that. And many of us did over that afternoon and the following afternoon. But what was amazing is, I hope you can see there and get a sense of this stunning Pacific Ocean. The weather was absolutely fantastic at this part of our week. And it's sort of like a royal blue. The sea is like a velvet and a royal blue. And every sea, I love water, so every sea and river has a different quality, but this was just superb. And as you can see, we're all out there quite close together, and we paddled out. And on the second day, we could not see another boat, another paddleboarder, another kayak, just nothing. We had the whole Pacific Ocean there in that instant, backdrop of the West Maui Mountains. And the whales came closer and closer, and we had a gorgeous experience with a number of them. There were loads on the first day, and on the second day we had a mum and her calf, and sometimes they bring an escort along, and and we had that experience too. And what Joe did was he'd go and take his kayak in the front, and then we'd just float. And just floating was amazing. So we had this beautiful connection with the humpback whales. We heard their song, and words started to formulate within my heart. And out came a beautiful chant all around aloha, all around the children of the sea and the earth and the stars and light, being so very, very blessed. So we started to sing it back to them. And some magic happened, because every time we sang, they came closer. So this gives you an idea of some of us just chilling, just chilling. And getting very excited there about some of the sights we were seeing. We could see lots of breaching in the background. Those are the mountains behind Nick and I. That's our group after chanting and having a very wet and wonderful experience before we paddled back home. So we've left this one in. Joe's supplied some of his photographs he took while he was out there. And you can see his ecstatic earth at the bottom of that photograph. So that's his front of his kayak. You can see how close the whales chose to be near us, because there is a regulation that we can't approach them. We have to stop at a certain place. And I don't know if you can make this out, but that's the tail of Mummy and then the back of the baby. So many humpback whales migrate all the way from Alaska to actually come thousands and thousands of miles to mate in these waters. And they don't eat along the way. They come along and they'll actually just give birth. And they like to build up their calf strength before they go back to Alaska. So this is Mummy and baby. I mean, you know, look at that. The trust. The trust in these funny humans bobbing along there. So I just think the whales are amazing, and it's just a wonderful experience. So I do encourage you, if you get the opportunity, to go. And I have had a number of people come to me to say that they were concerned because they don't swim, or they don't, the Americans call it aquatically challenged, but it's fine, you know, because you're in life jackets if you're on the kayaks, and if that doesn't work for you, there's lots and lots of bigger boats that can take you out very safely. We actually went, we stayed on for an extra week in our second week, along with many of our group and our friends, and we went out with the Pacific Whale Foundation, which is a non-profit organisation that researches and tries to look after the whales. We had some great times with them, with lots of very important information. So again, don't let anything like that stop you. Okay, so we wanted to have kind of like a sacred connection, and there's an old beautiful earth ceremony where you take something from the sea up to the mountain as a gift, and you take something from the mountain as a gift back to the sea. So we'd all collected our little stones, or leaves, or feather, or shell, or whatever it happened to be, and we had an amazing adventure day travelling up a long windy road up the Haleakala mountain, they call it. It was really a volcano, up to the summit, which is just over 10,000 feet, to watch sunset. So we had to stop off along the way. Joe was our guide on this day, and he took us to a lovely park for a picnic. So there we all are. As you can see, it's extremely crowded, loads of other people. Wasn't anybody else around as usual. And the views were fantastic. The next stop that we stopped at was a eucalyptus forest. So this is the first photograph of that. Oh, and it was so beautiful because we were about 4,000 feet up at this point, and the air was really clean. The smell was absolutely astonishing. It was just absolutely fabulous to have this gorgeous smell come to you and just cleanse the whole of your aura. the winds were starting to get up, and the warden came over just to say, you know, this is a national park, so that they were looking after people, asking them to move their camping facilities from away from the trees. We had quite some time there. In fact, we had to rush a little bit then to get up the mountain because we were all enjoying the trees. Again, one of these opportunities just to connect in, to go at peace with yourself. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but one of the things I show people, excuse me, is how to listen to trees as they're drinking. So as the sap is rising and as the fluid is rising up the roots, if you actually put your ear flat to any tree, it's better to try trees that have a flat bark. You can actually hear the rumbling, and it sounds like some of them are drumming inside. It's a great experience. I do encourage you to try it. It's, you know, if you're frightened of tree hugging, don't be. But do have a go at listening. Just listen to the insides of the tree. It's amazing. You can see an example there at the age of these things, because they were quite wide. And we just had a lovely, lovely time just being. There's Ellie there. She looks like a fairy up the tree. Amazing. Nick taking all the photographs to help the group. And there's Chris. And Jill. There's Anne. There's Joy. And Emma. Over there you can see Andrea and Julie. And there you can see Tina. Yeah, other people in the background. You get some sort of idea of the size. It was just so peaceful and so cleansing. It's Tina. This is a lovely photograph of Emma. We talked to her about Sound of the Spheres. She's a phenomenal artist and has a wonderful voice. And it was nice that the reflections from the camera on the sun were forming these spheres of light around her as she relaxed. There are also beautiful pathways that we took in a circular walk around out of the eucalyptus forest. And this is what we call a gateway. Often you find gateways in woods where it's just asking you to energetically stop and connect in with the earth, to check in like you would in a room in a club or going for cocktails or a meal or anything else. It's like just check in, just realign, maybe knock on the door mentally and say, hi, may I enter here? It's all very respectful for land energies. This is when we get to the top of the mountain. It was freezing, absolutely freezing, because the wind was up. So there's us folk. Layering up as much as we can. That's our Natalie, that's Barry with Julie and Nick. Yeah, just having some fun up there. It was an awesome sight to be above the clouds. There's Jill and Emma and me with Laura and other Jill. And there's our motley crew as the sun's beginning to set. So with my Natalie and Ellie. And here's the sunset to share with you. It was really windy and really cold, but absolutely astonishing. And we gave our gifts, we said our blessings, we made some prayers. We actually had, in a previous session at the villa, set ourselves as 16 to be equal of 4 lots of 4 to make like 4 petals of a flower. And those equal 4 petals of a flower are one of the ancient signs of Mu for the civilization of Mu, for harmony, for wholesome living, for equality and for unity. So we stood in that beautiful dynamic and sacred geometry, and yeah, it's had some nice wishes for you guys, for everybody out there in the earth. It's another one of the sunset photos to share with you. And the clouds and this beautiful colour that started to spread as the sun set. And that, you can just see the moon, the new moon that we arrived on, and it grew to full as we stayed there. And that's making our journey back down through the mountain after the sun had set. Back down to an amazing restaurant called Casanova's, which was Italian. and in a village called Makau, which is known for its cowboys. So the next day we were supposed to have our third kayaking session with Joe on the water, which we were very much looking forward to, but weather being the weather, it started to get a bit stormy, and so it was too rough to go out and do that. So we discussed a number of things, and in the end Joe showed us around different parts of the island. So we went to Alawalu petroglyphs, and some detail for you there. We had a good look at the various markings, and lots of markings on the rocks were very old and some were more recent. So that was really quite funny. Which it is, you know, I suppose it's graffiti at the end of the day from different generations. I liked, there's various ones of depicting people and doing various things, and you might find the one with a spiral on the left hand side of my screen. I don't know which way around it is for you, and that's actually depicting what the sails used to look like many years ago. So that was a bit of fun. And then we went off to a little brook that had turned into a river with the stormy weather that we were having, and we came again across one of these gateways of two trees that were very much stop and before we enter. So we practiced our sacred gateway energy work there, and we went in and just had a look at different sort of scenery and the beauty of this part of Maui. So the trees were quite an interesting shape, and there were lots of different wildflowers there. This is Joy connecting in, and we all had a great bit of a paddle. What was really nice from my perspective was it wasn't at all slippy. Some of us actually put more of our bodies in the waters than others, but we had some nice fun. It was just really nice to stop and connect with nature. And this was the earth element all around. It was water, the sunshine was out, and we're having dappled light on the water and within the wood. And people could just take some time out to just stop, nothing asked of any of us, just to connect in, see if anything was coming back, or just have some fun chats with friends. There's my beautiful daughter Natalie. And then off into the river. And it was just, look at that dappled sunlight, just standing there, just having chats about life in general in this beautiful part of the world. Tina and Nick found this praying mantis that was drowning in the river and actually saved it. And Joe was actually saying that from the tattered look of the wings and the descended belly, he thought she was about to lay some eggs. This photograph Nick got of it, I thought was wonderful. So we looked up, you know, we're always about the signs and what the universe is trying to tell us. And praying mantis is a message of good luck. So an abundance of that. Tina, you're just so gorgeously funny. Oh dear. And then later on that day, we managed to get to one of the national parks. It's actually spelt IAO, so I'm not quite sure how we correctly pronounce that. But AO National Park was just amazing. If you're looking at different, you know, when you go for walks and you've got different sort of valleys and different mountains that have a different feel, everybody feels differently in different places, and we all have our favourite places. And this was just, it was powerful and it was pregnant with energy. It was really bountiful, and such a rich, diversity of plants and trees and energies. And it definitely felt like there was a female side and a masculine side. And generally speaking, when you talk about energies and Maui to people, they all say it's all feminine. But you've got 42 different microclimates, and this gives you an example of another one. There's always water and lush vegetation. and different shapes of mountains. There's Laura and Tina in that one. And obviously somebody's just cracked off a joke for me to be doubled over by there. Oh, and Jill found her tree. we all have different trees and plants and flowers that we really like. And Jill found this lovely one down by the riverbed. Had some time out with that. Look at the sky. This was actually, it's called the Needle, this mountain. And the warriors in ancient days would climb up there with the steep rock face, and it was used as a lookout post to see what was coming from the different directions. So hopefully you're getting some sort of an idea here of the breadth that Maui is. And there we all gorgeous lot are. So the next morning we were all having a nice chill and just processing, having some process time. So this is just a view from the wall that you saw earlier, against the sea, or against the ocean, of us lot on the balcony. Just again dragged out of bed looking at the beautiful, gorgeous humpback whales and their display they gave us every single morning. The weather started to change a bit and got a bit stormy, and all of it was fantastic as far as we were concerned. So there you have another view. So when we gathered for our last ceremony, we basically again invoked some of the beautiful Hawaiian ancient ceremonies of healing, and we'd all received various flower orchid leis during the week, and we put a blessing and a wish, if you like, for heaven on earth, peace, bounty, beautiful, gorgeous health for you guys and everybody watching this. So on behalf of us all, and then we placed them out to sea, and we happily had a bit of a dance and a bit of a party as we watched the sunset, and came to a close for this wonderful, gorgeous soul retreat. Some of us actually went home then, and some of us actually stayed. And these are just a quick selection of those different microclimates of things that we could explore. So we went to the bamboo forest, which was amazing. And this was a wild river flowing at the bottom of the bamboo forest. We found eucalyptus, rainbow eucalyptus these are called. There's a forest that just have rainbow eucalyptus in there. And look at the colours. These are not photoshopped, they're not changed at all. This is actually just snapping it as it is. Some of the girls stayed up by Makau, and they went on one of the stormy days where there were a few flash floods and things going on, up into the forest, and captured this beautiful photograph. Nick and I went off to an cultural arts centre. Some of the ladies had also been to, and just some of the really old but beautiful trees we thought we'd share with you. This was a place called Twin Falls, for obvious reasons. This was one of the waterfalls that was taken by the girls who went down to the most ancient Polynesian temple on the Hawaiian Islands and down the Hana Road. Some of the waterfalls and pools. That's down at the ancient temple. So pick up some energies from that. These were taken by Nick and I as we went up to the north part of the island, and quite a lot of the trade winds are over that way, and there's lots of surfing that goes on and big waves, and I just fell in love with the sea and the coast down this side. The different colours of blues always really relax me and encourage me to go into the differences that I am. So you can see the royal blue and the turquoise and the grey blue. It's just fantastic. There was a blowhole there which we stayed long enough to see, and then there was a really crazy road that had warnings to say at your own risk. It's do what you want, and the highway kind of ends, and then there's a bit that joins a few miles of it. It was quite tricky, but these are the views that we've been able to share with you because of that, and the beautiful wildflowers that grow everywhere because of the botanical gardens and the rainforest feel. So just to come to some of a conclusion with this, the beach signs. Down at the beaches, just where you took a stroll, many of the turtles would be out of the water enjoying a sleep. Aren't they great? This is one a bit more lively, swimming off. This is one that Nick took when they were over at Baby Beach. You know, that beach that we introduced you to earlier from Lahaina, just 5 minutes away from where we were staying. And they had massive rock coral formations, and many turtles were just literally swimming about knee-deep water, and it's that clear. We need to leave you with some of the photographs that we took from when we were on the Pacific Whale Foundation boat trip. We saw many whales. This is a whale breathing, blowing. This is a tail when she's just starting to dive. So the way they do it is they put their body in a vertical position, and the weight of their body just takes them under, and their tail comes up nice and flat at the top, and they actually go in without causing a ripple at all. When the babies are around, they haven't got the muscle power to actually get themselves into that position, so there's a bit more ripple caused by them. So I don't know if you can make this out, but you've got the tail of the mum and the body and a fin of the baby. So I think that's absolutely gorgeous, and this is literally the distance from the boat that we were in. One of the mums decided to swim right next to the boat and swim under the boat, and this is the close-up that we got because it was literally right next to the boat. So lots of ooh-ahs and wallops going on from the boat, and this is one of my favourites because it's the calf that was so interested, and she came over with mum, and you can see its head and both its eyes having a good look and a good gander. And we're going to leave you here with this one. A nice passerby took this photograph of that wild shore on a stormy day. So I'm going to leave you soul to soul, love to love, and we're just going to play you a video that Joe took a couple of days after he left us. He went over to the Big Island, and he's just taken a video of listening to the humpback whales and a video underwater of a whale. So we're going to leave you with that beautiful, gorgeous sound and sight, and aloha.
Following is 2.5 minutes of a humpback whale singing in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Maui. This is a beautiful moment. The male comes up from the deep, and the sunlight catches the white on his belly. Wow. And then gracefully he swims off to join the female and her calf.
Thanks ever so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll always do my best to answer them. If you just pop them down below and we can respond as soon as possible. If you've enjoyed the video and you want to share it, please do so. And do click to subscribe for yourself if you want to be notified of any new content that I'm developing. Lots of. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.